Hi Year 6, it's Sam here, bringing you grammar, punctuation and spelling on Thursday the 28th of January. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so the first slide is, as always, spelling. So these are some of our key spelling words for Year 5 and 6, and some of the ones that are pretty tricky a lot of the time. You can see with the double C's, the E and the I, and then obviously in achieve, the I comes before the E. So for this slide, if you choose 3 different activities from these options below to practice writing these words, remember the more that we write them and spell them out, the more likely we are to remember how to spell them. And some of these games are pretty fun as well. So that's what you need to do on this slide. Okay, then we've got our sentence maker slide. So you can pause the video here and see what sentences you can make, whether you can make a sentence using all of the words. Remember, when we have these sentences, I always like to look for a verb, so I can see what someone is doing, and I also like to look for a noun, so whether it's a person or an object, and then almost try and put the noun and the verb together to create a sentence with a subject, and then start kind of putting in the rest of the information. So I can see here there's a sister, so that's a noun, a person, the sister, and I can see books is a noun. I can see that we've got tired and bored, so someone is probably feeling tired and bored. Maybe the sister is feeling tired and bored. I can also see that I've got when here, so that might be how I've started my sentence, so it might be a conjunction that joins 2 of my clauses together. So when, I could have when my sister, or I could have when I. So maybe I'll go for when I read poems to my sister. Then I'm going to just have a little look around, see if I can see any adjectives that we might have used to build the sentence up to describe the sister. So have a little look. Can you see any? I can see little. So when I read to my little sister, she gets bored, for example. I haven't used all of the words there. So pause and see if you can make a sentence, make a number of sentences, see if you can make a sentence using all of these words. And you could also have a look at what the nouns are. So we talked a bit about a few of the nouns already, what the verbs are. Prepositions, remember the preposition describes where the noun is in relation to something else. So where the sister is, or where the books are. And then any pronouns. So she is a pronoun. Are there any other pronouns here? You can have a look. And then is there anything else that you notice about the structure of the sentence? Okay, so we're now going to look at clauses. Okay, so have a little think about what does a clause have to have. So we talk a lot about main clauses and about subordinate clauses. So a clause has to have a subject, which is the doer, and it has to have a verb, which is the action. And the difference between a main and a subordinate clause, a main clause makes sense on its own. So it has a subject and a verb, and it makes sense on its own. A subordinate clause has a subordinate conjunction. So have a little look at some of these examples. Which one is a subordinate clause and why? So the first one is, bored and tired, Tracy looked at her watch. So which part of this sentence is the main clause and why? So see if you can pause the video and think about that for these 3. So here, bored and tired is our subordinate clause because it doesn't make sense on its own. Can't be a sentence on its own. Whereas Tracy looked at her watch can be a sentence on its own. So this part here is the main clause. For number 2, in the morning, Lyndon ate her yummy breakfast. So have a think, which is the main clause and which is the subordinate clause. And then do the same for number 3. Okay, so here, all of the beginning of the sentences is where our subordinate clause is. Bored and tired, in the morning, when he got up in the morning. However, these are subordinate phrases, and this longer one here is a subordinate clause because it has a subject and a doer. So somebody, he is getting up in the morning. This one is a phrase because it doesn't have a subject. We don't know yet, and it doesn't have a verb, so it doesn't have an action. Okay, so this is a subordinate phrase, and so is this one. But because here we have a subject and a verb, this is a clause. So we're going to have a go now at adding a dessert course to this sentence, but using a subordinate clause rather than a phrase. So your subordinating clause, your dessert, needs to have a doer, a subject, and it needs to have a verb. Okay, and here you've got an example of all the subordinating conjunctions you could use. So, for example, I might have the, and I'll change that to a capital letter because I'm going to add a dessert. The Germans saved David from drowning because they wanted information from him. Okay, so the because would be my subordinating conjunction, and I'm explaining the reason why they are saving David, and I've got in there a subject and a verb. So because they, that's the subject, they want information from him. So the information is the verb. That's what they want from him. So now pause the video and see if you can have a go at adding on a dessert course using one of these conjunctions, making sure you've got a subject and a verb. Okay, so just a little reminder about our adverbials that we looked at last week. So have a little think, what is an adverbial? So what does an adverb do? And thinking about how an adverbial phrase is different to an adverb. So, an adverb describes a verb. Okay, so that is an adverbial at the beginning of a sentence or in a sentence would describe a verb. So here we've got an example. The boy ran quickly. So the verb is, see if you can figure it out. The verb is ran. So that would mean that the adverb is quickly. An adverbial phrase is different to an adverb because it is more than one word. So an adverb is one word and an adverbial phrase is more than one word. So here are some examples of some adverbials, and using this can help us remember different ways that we could do adverbials. So we can use adverbials to explain how often and when, so for time, to explain why, so to give a reason, or to describe, or to explain how, which is manner, the manner that something happened, or where, which is the place. So the boy ran. That's my main clause here. It makes sense on its own, but it doesn't give us a lot of information. So now I can start adding adverbial phrases either at the beginning of the sentence as a starter or at the end of the sentence as a dessert. So every night the boy ran. That is an example of an adverbial, and that is giving you more information about when the boy was running. Every night the boy ran. Now we could add even more information to that, and we could give a reason as to why he was running. So every night the boy ran as he wanted to get fit. So it's letting us know why he's running. So now we've got time and reason. This is still our main clause. Okay, now we can have every night the boy ran with vigour as he wanted to get fit. So I've now added in the way in which he has run. I could have said the boy ran quickly, or the boy ran as fast as he could as he wanted to get fit. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm not exactly sure where I got to. So we were talking about this sentence. Every night the boy ran with vigour. So we're describing how he is running, and so that is the manner. So as you can see, we started off with a very simple sentence, and we've started to add more and more and more information to it. And then finally, we could add a place into our sentence. So every night the boy ran with vigour to the park and back as he wanted to get fit. Okay, so we've now added more information, and we've now explained when the boy was running, why he was running, how he was running, and where he was running. Okay, so now I want you to have a go. If you pause the video now, I want you to have a go at doing the same thing with the boy ran, but changing the purple, green, red and blue parts of the sentence. So you kind of start here with the boy ran, and I want you to add in when he was running. So you might have every morning, or you could have the boy ran early in the morning. Okay, and then think about how you could build up the sentence for the time, the reason and the manner and the place. Okay, so pause the video and have a go at that. Okay, now let's have a go at adding a dessert. We're adding an adverbial phrase to this sentence. So, the Germans saved David from drowning. Now, we had a go at this earlier. Let's see if we can add even more information now. Sorry, but this time we are going to try and add in all of this information down here and make the sentence really long and give our reader lots of information. So the Germans saved David from drowning. That's our main clause. Can we add into our sentence the time? So when, what time of day did the Germans save David from drowning? So early in the morning, the Germans saved David from drowning. Can we explain why? So early in the morning, the Germans saved David from drowning so that he could tell them what he knew, or because he had information for them. Can we add in how they saved him? So early in the morning, the Germans saved David from drowning by pulling him out by his hood. And then a place as well. Early in the morning, down by the river, the Germans saved David from drowning. Oh, I don't really like that. Early in the morning, the Germans saved David from drowning in the lake. Okay, so pause the video here and I want you to have a go at all of those. Now, this time with the same main clause, I want you to have a go at adding a starter. Okay, so using these subordinating conjunctions, what could your starter be? So pause the video and have a go at building that sentence. And then adding an appetiser, which is a fronted adverbial phrase, okay, which is when we're using some more information down here. Okay, that's it from me. I'm also going to attach this as a Google slide so that you can view it as a Google slide and kind of go through it to complete the activities if you want to, if that would be helpful. Hopefully it's been helpful having me kind of talk over it a little bit just so that we can give you, the extra information that we would do if you're in the classroom. I hope you're all doing really well. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And yeah, share some of your sentences with me. I'm looking forward to reading them. Bye.